Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be finding the antiderivative of e to the negative x sine x dx. And I need to use the integration by parts formula because I cannot use the u substitution method or reverse power or other things that we know to solve. So I need the integration by parts. And the integration by parts is as follows. If I have the antiderivative of u dv, this is going to be equal to uv minus the antiderivative of v du. So I try to make these v's and these u's look as different as possible. Okay, now that we have this formula, this is going to help us solve. So what is our u going to be equal to in this case? Looking back to our Lie8 formula, or acronym rather. So let me write that out just for memory. Lie8. This is logs. This is inverse, trig. This is algebraic stuff. This is normal, just sine, cosine, etc. Trig. This is just the exponential stuff. Exponential. So this is our Lie8 formula. Okay, now that we have all of this, we can set our u equal to what? Sine x, because that's what's before. So u is equal to sine x. And then du is going to be equal to negative, not negative, positive cosine x dx. And then our v is going to be set equal to the remaining, that's just e to the dv is going to be set to the remaining, which is e to the negative x dx. And then v is just the antiderivative of this business. And the antiderivative of e to the negative x is just negative e to the negative x. Plus c, we don't have to add that. Now keep in mind, how did I do this? I just used the normal u substitution method. So what is the antiderivative of e to the negative x dx? This is going to be, so I'm going to set u equal to negative x, so du is going to be equal to negative dx. And so this is just the antiderivative of e to the negative x, which is e to the u, and then we have a minus here, so we can obviously multiply by -1 both sides. This is minus du equals dx. So dx is negative du. Push that negative outside. This is just du. So this is negative, this stuff, I don't need to write that again. This is just equal to negative eu plus c, which is negative e to the negative x plus c, exactly what we have here. We don't need that plus c. Okay, now we can solve. So here in this purpose, we don't need the plus c in order to use the integration by parts formula. Okay, so now let's solve. Let's use the integration by parts formula. So u is sine x, dv is times negative e to the negative, sorry, e to the negative x. I was looking at the wrong one. This is e to the negative x. And you shouldn't be confused here because all I'm doing is just rewriting the question. I'm just doing that. And that's going to be equal to u times v, which is sine x times negative e to the negative x. And I don't need this stuff here. This was just to remember. And this is equal to minus. We can take that minus because we have a negative. We can make that positive. And then e to the negative x du is just cosine x dx. Now notice here that we have one more antiderivative we need to find, and that is again an integration by parts formula. We need to do that one more time. So sometimes this is going to be the case. We have to use the integration by parts twice, and this is one of those cases. So this is all going to be equal to sine x times negative e to the negative x. I can actually push that negative in front because it looks better that way and it's easier to handle. And then plus this stuff. So we can write all of that stuff within there. So what is this going to be equal to? Well, once again, we need to use the integration by parts. And I'll do that out in the side here. So u is equal to I don't know why that went down. U is equal to cosine x du is going to be equal to negative sine x dx. V is dv. We'll first find dv. That's e to the negative x dx. And we know what this is. V is just equal to negative e to the negative x plus c. We don't need that. Okay, so we have all the stuff we need to solve. So we can write that here. U times v. U is just cosine x times a negative, so multiply by a negative e to the negative x. So minus times e to the negative x. Okay, negative e to the negative x minus antiderivative of negative e to the negative x. We can push that negative outside. And here we have another negative, so it's just going to all be negative. And then that's just e to the negative x sine x dx. And notice here that this is important, that we have this, which is equal to this. And so what is going to happen? Are we going to have an infinite loop? Is this going to keep on happening? No, we can still solve this, and I'll show you how. So what is this going to be equal to? And this is going to be equal to negative sine x times e to the negative x, and then minus, because we have that negative there, so it's negative minus cosine x times e to the negative x minus this stuff. We have that up in the question. That's just e to the negative x sine x dx is equal to this stuff. So it's equal to same thing that I just wrote, e to the negative x, antiderivative e to the negative sine x dx. So now what do we do? Well, we can use just our algebra. We can add this to both sides. So this is just plus the antiderivative of e to the negative x sine x dx, and do the same here. I don't have space to write it, so I'm just going to write it here. Sine x dx. What does this become? This becomes 2 times what we want to find is equal to just this stuff. We know that this, let's do that here. This cancels with this. So we just end up with all of this. Okay, and so we have this 2 times this. We wanna isolate this, right? This is what we're trying to find. We have this extra 2 here. So this is what we're trying to find, and we have this extra 2 here. We're gonna get rid of that. So we'll multiply by 1/2. So all of this times 1/2. And so notice that these 2 cancel. So our final answer is going to be equal to, so this, the antiderivative of negative x sine x dx is going to be equal to 1/2 times negative sine x e to the negative x minus cosine x e to the negative x plus c. That's important. And this is your answer. This is your antiderivative. This is what we're chasing this whole problem. And we can obviously check our work. We can check our work by finding the derivative of this, and that should be equal to this. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is going to be, do this in green, the derivative of 1/2 times, or negative 1/2 times sine x e to the negative x, I just multiplied that in, minus 1/2 times cosine x e to the negative x. And this plus c, the derivative of a constant, is 0. We don't need to add that in. So we can split this up into 2 parts. So this is just the derivative of negative 1/2 times And actually, let me just remove that negative 1/2, push that outside. So saves me some space later on. So it's just sine x e to the negative x minus 1/2 times the derivative of cosine x e to the negative x plus 0. We don't need that again. So this is just the product rule. So let's do that. So this is just the derivative of sine x is cosine x. So cosine x multiplied by e to the negative x, the derivative of e to the negative x. What is that? So that's going to be, that's going to require us to use the chain rule. So let me just review that really quickly. So the derivative of e to the negative x is going to be equal to, so that's just e to the negative x times negative 1, because we have that top part. So that's equal to negative e to the negative x. And so that's what we have here. So that's times negative e to the negative x plus, and then sine x times sine x. And I don't know why this is not correct. This is not correct. This is the product rule, so I don't find the derivative of both. This is what we have, and then this is sine x times negative, so we can subtract this here, minus sine x times e to the negative x, and this is what we have here. Okay, this is the first part. Cosine x times e to the negative x minus sine x times e to the negative x. And then this is going to be minus 1/2 times the derivative. So same stuff here, except we have cosine x. So that's just negative sine x times e to the negative x plus cosine x times minus. So make this minus cosine x times e to the negative x. Okay, so that was a lot. And then we can finally finish this up. So we can finish this up by expanding. So it's just negative 1/2 cosine x times e to the negative x plus 1/2 times sine x times e to the negative x plus 1/2 times sine x e to the negative x plus 1/2 times cosine x e to the negative x. These two cancel out. These two cancel. And what we are left off with is going to be equal to 1/2 plus 1/2 is just 1. Sine x e to the negative x. This is your derivative. So this should be equal to this, and it is indeed equivalent. So we know that we have not made any mistakes, and we found our antiderivative. This was kind of a long video, but hopefully it helped you understand the integration by parts formula.